Today we're going to run through the basic elements in tasting wine. And the first thing you have to do when you taste wine is to have a glass. You don't need to fill the glass up too high when you taste wine. That's absolutely fine, just down to a quarter. The first stage in tasting wine is the color. Many people don't think color is important. I think it's vitally important because A, it's a pleasurable thing to the eye, and B, it'll tell you quite a lot about the wine. And the way you judge color is by looking down on the wine. You tip it against a white background, whether it's a white floor as we have here, or a white tabletop, or a bit of white paper. By tipping it, you not only have the color from the middle, the center of the wine, you have the gradation of color going towards the rim. So this is a very young wine. It's a 2005 Shiraz, which is a very dark-colored grape. And so it's still almost black, purple, red, and a dark ruby rim. Very youthful color indeed for a 4-year-old wine. If we were talking about this wine in 15 years, the color would have taken on a little bit of a brick, maybe even a tawniness and a certain tawny rim. So as a wine ages, it loses color. Red wines lose color, and as white wines age, they gain color. That's most important. The second stage is the nose, and the nose is the most important thing in wine tasting, in my view, because your nose can perceive many, many more facets in the wine than your palate can. And to judge the nose, with a glass like this, you just rotate the wine, and that will aerate the wine. That will bring the air out of it, and oxygen on wine brings out the aromas and brings out the tastes. And actually, this is something about the color. As the wine falls back in its glass, you see what's called legs on the side of the glass. These are kind of oily tears going down the side of the glass. So if it has pronounced legs, it'll be quite a lush, viscous wine. So the nose. You rotate the wine to add a bit of air, because air will accentuate the aroma, and then you just smell it. Like that. You can do that 2 or 3 times. What I get off this is a nose of concentrated black currants with a hint of blackberries, so black fruits, blackberry fruits, and a little bit of spice, and there's also a hint of wood. So this is a very complex nose with a lot of potential. You then taste, and the palate can only pick up sweetness on the tip, acids on the side, and tannins on the back. So it's a pretty blunt instrument, your tongue. And to bring in the aromatic palate, you have to bring in the sense of smell. So this is done like this. You kind of gargle the wine. And then you spit it out. By opening what's called the retronasal passage, by allowing your sense of smell to your sense of taste, you get the aromatic palate. And here, one senses a little bit of sweetness on the front of the palate, some nice tannins at the back, because the Syrah of Shiraz grape is a quite tannic wine. So this is performing extremely well, and I would say that it's a young version, and it probably has 8 to 10 years more to go, and as a red wine matures, it will become more and more complex. And the final stage is the aftertaste, and that is the impression that you're left with after you've swallowed or spat out the wine. And that has to be, for a good wine, it has to be harmonious. And if it's out of harmony, out of balance, then the wine is not as good as it ought to be. And of course, if you're tasting lots and lots and lots of wines, you have to spit. And you can train yourself in spitting by just taking a glass of water and spitting into a sink. But if you don't spit, you'll absorb too much wine, and your judgment will not be as it should be. So that's just a kind of 4-step approach. It's very simple. No matter what the wine is, that's the way you do it. Look at the color, smell the wine, roll the wine around your palate to get the full taste, and then look at the aftertaste. And that's what you do for every single wine you want to drink. Thank you.